But we're going to go ahead and get started with this year's 2019 African American Read-In. I am Michael Hunter. I'm the District Transition Specialist here at Lincoln Public Schools. We're excited to have everyone join us here today for this read-in and performance by our community stakeholders who will share their impact of rich history, the role and contributions of African Americans in the world of literature and the arts in their daily lives. We're often believed that libraries and readings was the right public literatures at the time of honor and advocacy and equity access to the information of all. Throughout much of the 20th century, however, many Blacks Americans were denied access to public libraries and were allowed admittance only to separate in smaller buildings or collections.
I'm Shanna Fletcher. I'm one of the advocates for African American scholars in the district. Long before President Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which included libraries as institutions where desegregation was mandated, but did not name them specifically. The national NAACP and chapters had launched small campaigns that did everything from championing the cause of a Black librarian assistance promotion in the New York Public Library system. This read-in presents ongoing collaborations between Lincoln Public Schools and Lincoln City Libraries. The National Council for the Teachers of English hosts the National African American Read-In. This national literacy initiative kicks off during Black History Month. The purpose of the read-in is to share the unique experiences found in African American literature with students from pre-kindergarten through adult.
This is one of two read-in events that is done with the collaboration of the Lincoln City Libraries, which is known as LCL, and the Youth Development Team of Lincoln Public Schools. If you can't get enough, the next one will be from noon p.m. at the Isaac Library of the Branch Library at Superior Street in Lincoln, Nebraska, 68521. This event is also open and free to the public.
We hope you enjoyed today's experience and are inspired, educated, and entertained. Our format will be similar to that of baseball. Readers will self-introduce themselves, and the next reader will be Hank Aaron, Jackie Robinson, Buck O'Neill, or Josh Gibson on deck. So in other words, what you're going to do is you're going to introduce yourself when you know you're up, and then when you're done, the next person will come up and introduce themselves. Pete has an analogy to baseball that I just don't get. Again, we thank you and all the readers and presenters, and hope you enjoy it.
And thanks for joining us today.
Hello, I'm Linda Anderson, and I'm the receptionist at North Star High School. I'm originally from a small town in Missouri called Chillicothe, and I know when I say Chillicothe, usually they say Chillicothe, but it actually is a Shawnee Indian word meaning principal place, and right at the middle of the state, about 100 miles from the Iowa line. At the southern border of my hometown is U.S. Highway 36. Highway 36 stretches about 200 miles of farmland across Missouri that connects Kansas and Illinois. The Washington Post calls this route the way of American genius. You see, at the furthest west point is St. Joseph, where there was the Pony Express. You come a little further and you find Hamilton, which is the hometown of J.C. Penney. A little further to Chillicothe, which is the home of sliced bread. You go 25 miles further, there's Laclede, which is the hometown of General John J. Pershing. You go a little further to Marceline, which is the hometown of Walt Disney, and even further east to Hannibal, the hometown of Samuel Clemens or Mark Twain. I went to school in a segregated school for my first 3 years, and the genius of the area was not ignored by my teachers. They introduced us to many wonderful things, and the African American poet was one of those. One of my favorite poets is James Weldon Johnson, and my favorite poem of his is Lift Every Voice and Sing. In 1908, it was set to music by his brother, J. Rosamond Johnson, and it was performed first by 500 children in a celebration of Abraham Lincoln's birthday in February. It was written to introduce the special guest that day, Booker T. Washington. I encourage you to find the poem and see how the brothers collaborated to bring together beautiful music and words that vividly expresses the struggle of the African American community for equality and justice. The poem was so important that we were expected to learn all 3 stanzas. And if we were a musician, we were expected also to learn to play the music. I want to just give you a taste of it as I sing the first stanza. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us, facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. I encourage you, find those other 2 stanzas and enjoy Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Wasn't that beautiful? I am also a Missouri girl and went to church camp in Chillicothe for many years when I was growing up, so I know exactly where you're talking about. My name is Joy Harvey, and I am the coordinator of library services, and it's an honor to welcome you here today to the African American Read-In to celebrate African Americans' rich history, role, and contributions to literature and the arts. In our library world, we like to use a term called #OwnVoices to mark and recognize books with diverse characters written by authors of the same diverse group. And we have a collection of books called The Mosaic. Many of them are on your tables today that you can see. And we're seeing more and more own voices books being published, but there clearly are not enough yet. And so it's really great to come together today and celebrate own voices. So one of the books I love that is written by an African American author is Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson. She writes picture books and chapter books for young children and young adults. And I will never forget reading this particular passage in the book as it resonated with me and our desire to have more and more books written by diverse authors. And this just talks a little bit about what it was like for her when she first read a book with a character who looked like her. If someone had been fussing with me to read like my sister, I might have missed the picture book filled with brown people, more brown people than I'd ever seen in a book before. If someone had taken that book out of my hand, said, "You're too old for this," I'd never have believed that someone who looked like me could be in the pages of the book, that someone who looked like me had a story. Welcome to the African American Read-In.
Oh, this is mic'd, okay. How you doing, everybody? My name is Dewine Baker, and I'm actually gonna follow the trend of Missouri people. I'm born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. Recently transitioned here to Lincoln a few months ago, about September or so. My role is the Diversity and Inclusion Director in Athletics for Nebraska Athletics, so GBR, Go Big Red. And the passage that I picked today is actually a poem by a Martellus Bennett. Martellus Bennett is a retired NFL player, has played for the Packers, the Patriots, most recently played for the Patriots. And after retiring from the NFL, he went full-time as an entrepreneur and an author, writing books specifically for young black boys and girls to really show them really how important it is to get involved in the arts and what it's like to have somebody who looks like you, who really stands up for you, writing about you and their story. So this is a passage that he wrote shortly after the 2016 season, and the title is Dear Black Boy, and I'll go into about the details about it after I read the passage. And it reads, "Dear Black Boy, the quest for freedom continues. We must lace up our shoes and do more than run another sprint, dunk another ball, catch another pass, or rap another lyric. Freedom is still a giraffe and a half away, so we must run another lap like the greats before us who ran the same race. We must lace our shoes and run toward freedom, cheering on those who are training and running our same race, picking up those who look like us and get tired or distracted on their way to the finish line. And we must pick up the pace. The low-hanging fruit is what the world prefers for you to reach for, but we must climb the tree. Climb higher and you will discover that the fruit at the top is better than gold. The game of life is the one game that they don't think we can win, but this must be the greatest game ever played. Millions have marched, millions have fought, millions have died, but millions will continue to run for freedom. Run, black boy, run, for you will change the world for all of us. Train, black boy, train, for we will need you to be in the shape of your life because the journey is a long one. Dream bigger, black boy, dream bigger, for your dreams are valuable. No one can take those from you, and you deserve to dream the wildest dreams and chase those dreams the same way you chase a loose ball in the fourth quarter, a running back breaking free down the sideline, or a fly ball in the outfield. Set goals, black boys, set goals. Slam dunk those goals the same way that you do an alley-oop. For your goals in life are worth much more than those 2 points. Shatter the glass. Exercise, black boy, exercise. Exercise your right to speak your mind, to pursue happiness, to seek peace and prosperity, and to avoid conformity imposed by the small minds of society. Exercise until you're drenched in sweat. Think, black boy, think, for your mind is your greatest tool. Move forward, black boy, move forward, for we know that where we've been, but where will you take us next? Win, black boy, win, for the world needs more winners who look like you. Pick up hope, get in the game, and show us what you can do, for this is the greatest game that you will ever play, and we need you. Team on three. 1, 2, 3. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. I picked this poem because I work with a lot of athletes who come to Nebraska and they think it's pro ball and they think that's the way out. But I try to encourage them every day. They're much bigger than being an athlete. And so this poem is near and dear to my heart. I try to share it with them, and I try to encourage them every day that they're much bigger than what they are and what they think they are. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Marshana Kapke. I'm a 10th grade scholar at Lincoln North Star, and I'm here to do my poetry piece. No, these pieces are not like mine written but I've taken pieces from different poetry and smashed them together and made my own poetry piece. So I'll be doing it right here. On the bad nights, I wake to my mom. Mother, shoveling dirt down my throat. I scream, Mom, I'm alive. I'm alive. But it just sounds like dirt. If I try to get up, she brings the shovel down, saying, I miss you so much, my sweetest girl. I've left Earth in search for darker planets, a solar system revolving too near a black hole. I left in search of a new God. I do not trust the God you have given us. My grandmother's, hallelujah. Today, I rode past 5 police cars, and I can tell you about it. Now, what to do with my internal inverse? Just how will I survive the little cops running inside my veins, hunting white blood cells, and bang, bang! I'm dead. And Kermit the Frog said, it's not easy being green. Who being black isn't easy either. I don't blend in with the grass and the leaves, but I stand out in seas of ivory. The July 2018 issue of The Atlantic wrote, being black in America can be hazardous to your health, condoning that segregated cities see a gap of as much as 20 years in the life expectancy between whites and African Americans. The color of one's skin should not factor into the meals they eat, the schools they attend, and the opportunities they are given. In the poems Every Day is a Funeral and a Miracle and Dear White America by Dane Smith and To Be an Orphan Inside of Blackness by Don Lundy Martin, we face what it is really like, a poetry program dedicated to being black in America. I've left Earth. I am equal parts sick of your go back to Africa and I just don't see race. Well, neither did the popular treaty. We did not build your prisons, though we did, and we filled them too. We did not ask to be a part of your America, though are we not America? Her joints, brittle, and dragging the condition of it, us. We can love it, sure. Cradle its beautiful head and eyes looking. It wants to be performed, leaping, but the eye is not a good actor. The problem of the book is that it's never quite black enough. I can't stand your ground. I'm sick of calling your recklessness the law. Each night I count my brothers, and in the morning when some do not survive to be counted, I count the holes they leave. I reach for black folks and touch only air. Your master magic, America. Now he's breathing, now he don't. Abracadabra, white bread, voodoo, sorcery, you claim not to practice. Hand my cousin a pistol to do your work. Today, Tamir Rice. Tomorrow, my liver. Today, Rakia Boyd. Tomorrow, the kidneys. Today, John Crawford. Tomorrow, my lungs. Some of us are killed in pieces. Some of us all at once. I tried, white people, I tried to love you. But you spent my brother's funeral making plans for brunch, talking too loud next to his bones. You took one look at the river, plump with body of boy after girl after sweet boy, and ask, why does it always have to be about race? Sometimes I get stares of disgust or confusion, and sometimes the salesman watches too closely as I pass down the aisles. When I watch television and see faces of people that aren't like me, selling me jeans and cars, children toys and mops. Look, I'm not gonna manufacture any more sadness. It happened, it's happening. Hey, America might even kill me before I get the chance. My blood is in cahoots with the law, but today I am alive, which is to say I survived yesterday, spent it ducking bullets, some flying toward me and some trying to rip their way out. Because black boys can always be too loud to live. Because it's taken my papa's and my grandma's time, my father's time, my brother's time, my aunt's time, my uncle's time. How much time do you want for your progress? I I've left Earth to find a place where my kin can be safe. Where black people ain't but people the same color as the good, wet earth. Until that means something, until then, I bid you well, I bid you war, I bid you our lives to gamble with no more. But Kermit says he loves himself. And I love myself too, because I see being black is having strength. And that strength is what I see in my grandmother's eyes. Because you made it that way. Because you put an asterisk on my sister's gorgeous face. Called her pretty. For a black girl. Because black girls go missing without so much as of a whisper of where. Because there are no Amber Alerts for amber-skinned girls. Because Jordan boomed. Because Emmett whistled. Because Huey P. spoke. Because Martin preached. Today, I did not think about my blood. What is the shape of my people's salvation? Name a thing that can't be made a weapon. Can you point in the direction of the doctor, witch, or medical? No matter, I got this problem. I was born. They sent a girl when the bullet missed. Thank you.
Thanks, Pete, for setting me up for falling behind her. Thought we were friends. Good afternoon. My name is Wendy Hunt, and I am the Assistant Director of Diversity and Inclusion at Nebraska Wesleyan. I've chosen a piece from Langston Hughes, Let America Be America Again. It was written in 1935. The Harlem Renaissance was a great time for African American culture, especially writers. It was a great example of how far African Americans had come from a little over 50 years of slavery. Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain, seeking a home where he himself is free. America never was America for me. Let America be the dream the dreamers dreamed. Let it be that great, strong land of love, where never kings connive nor tyrants scheme, that any man be crushed by one above. It never was America to me. Oh, let my land be land where liberty is crowned with no false patriotic wreath, but opportunity is real and life is free. Equality is the air we breathe. There's never been equality for me, nor freedom in this homeland of the free. Say, who are you that mumbles in the dark? And who are you that draws your veil across the stars? I am the poor white fooled and pushed apart. I am the Negro bearing slavery's scars. I am the red man driven from the land. I am the immigrant clutching the hope I seek and finding only the same old stupid plan of dog eat dog, of mighty crush the weak. I am the young man full of strength and hope, tangled in that ancient endless chain of profit, power, gain, of grab the land, of grab the gold, of grab the way of satisfying need, of work the men, of take the pay, of owing everything for one's own greed. I am the farmer, bondsman to the soil. I am the worker sold to the machine. I am the Negro, servant to you all. I am the people, humble, hungry, mean, hungry yet today, despite the dream. Beaten yet today. Oh, pioneers, I am the man who never got ahead, the poorest worker bartered through the years. Yet, I am the one who dreamt our basic dreams. In the old world, while still a serf of kings, who dreamt a dream so strong, so brave, so true, that even yet its mighty daring sings. And every brick and stone, and every furrow turn, that made America the land it has become. Oh, I'm the man who sailed those early seas, in search of what I meant to be my home, for I'm the one who left dark Ireland's shores, and Poland's plain, and England's grassy lea, and torn from black Africa's strand I came, to build a homeland of the free. The free? Who said the free? Not me. Surely not me. the millions on relief today, the millions shot down when we strike, the millions who have nothing for our pay, for all the dreams we've dreamed, and all the songs we sung, and all the hopes we've held, and all the flags we've hung, the millions who have nothing for our pay, except that the dream that's almost dead today. Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has been yet, and yet must be, the land where every man is free, the land that's mine, the poor man's, Indians, Negroes, me, who made America, whose sweat and blood, whose faith and pain, whose hand at the foundry, whose plow in the rain, must bring back our mighty dream again. Sure, call me ugly names you choose. The steel of freedom does not stain. From those who live like leeches on the people's lives, we must take back our land again, America. Oh yes, I say it plain. America never was America to me. And yet I swear this oath, America will be. Out of the rack and ruin of our gangsters' death, the rape and rot of graft and stealth and lies, we, the people, must redeem the land, the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains and the endless plains, all the stretch of these great green states, and make America again. Thank you.
"1963, Birmingham, Alabama.
I couldn't play on the same playground as everybody.
I couldn't go to every school.
I couldn't drink from every water fountain.
I couldn't sit where I wanted on the bus.
I couldn't go to every swimming pool.
I couldn't use every toilet, stay in every hotel, or eat in every restaurant.
Even if I went to jail, I couldn't share the same jail cell.
There were so many things black children couldn't do. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, walking into freedom land.
One warm spring night, my family went to church. We went there to hear Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speak. We were there to plan and hear what we could do. He wanted to raise an army of peaceful protesters to fight for freedom, his brown eyes flashing fire and love. He told us with 3 suggestions for a strategy for victory. He recommended we students form a nonviolent organization to take the freedom struggle into every community.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is an era of offensive on the part of oppressed people. All peoples deprived of dignity and freedom are on the march on every continent throughout the world. The students have taken the struggle for justice into their own strong hands. Today, the leaders chart future goals. I tell you, there is no noise as powerful as the sound of marching feet of a determined people.
The time has come for us to march.
If I march, Mom said, I'll lose my job sure enough. I can't march, said Daddy. I got a family to feed. The weight of the world rested on our parents' shoulders. But this burden, this time, did not have to be theirs to bear. King and I wondered, who would march for freedom? King provided hope even from jail and burden. He would write,
Let us all hope that the dark clouds of racial prejudice will soon pass away, and the deep fog of misunderstanding will be lifted from our fear-drenched communities. And in some not too distant tomorrow, the radiant stars of love and brotherhood will shine over our great nation with all their scintillating beauty.
James Bevel of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference recommends a deal that would shock the nation. The use of children to move forward the civil rights campaign in Birmingham.
Quiet, quiet, children. I present to you Mr. James Bevel.
Good evening, children. My name is James Bevel, and I'm here to talk to you while I'm here in your hometown of Birmingham. We know that many of your moms and dads cannot participate in this fight for rights because their responsibility is to keep you safe, fed, and alive. We know they cannot do that from jail, so that's where you all come into play. We need as many of you as we can, boys, girls, kids, teens, to meet down at 16 South Street Baptist Church this Thursday, May 2nd, 1963. The police might hit you, they might spit on you, they will have dogs and billy clubs, but the only response ever is no response or a prayerful response. Faith is very much a part of what we are doing here. Children, you don't have a boss to fear or a job to lose.
But King didn't like children being put in harm's way. After all, he was a daddy too. But we said we can march this time.
We'll be King's Army.
Father, let your children march. Marlo, let your children march.
Yes, we are young, but we are not too young to want our freedom. Let the children march. They will lead the way.
Let the children march. They will lead the way.
Like 18-year-old Mary Lou Smith, who on October 21st, 1955, was ordered to relinquish her seat to a white passenger on the bus to Montgomery and refused. She was arrested and charged with failure to obey segregation orders and given a $9 fine.
It was finally May 2nd, D-Day, a sunny Thursday. Boys and girls, brothers and sisters, cousins and friends, listen to the radio to get our signal to start the march. Two of Birmingham black disc jockeys, Tall Pop and Shanna the Playboy, the mouth of the South, will call and give us the signal over the airwaves.
All right, kids, it's sunny outside and the day is bright. Don't forget there's going to be a party in the park. And don't forget your toothbrushes, because lunches will be served.
These were our instructions for us to leave classes and report to 16th Street Baptist Church at noon.
My mother said, okay, don't go to that march. You go to school, I told my mother.
I hear you.
You was raised not to lie. I didn't tell her a lie and say I was going. I said,
I hear you.
we left the church with our picket signs and our walking shoes. Dressed in our bed, feet ready, we began to march.
Some of us even had our raincoats because we knew we were going to be held down by the water hoses.
Path may be long and troubled, but I'm gonna walk on.
Would I be hooked like Jimmy Lee Jackson was beaten as he tried to protect his grandfather and mother from a troop attack on civil rights marshals?
Would we be heard like Natalie Wadler, an 11-year-old who delivered a speech at the March for Our Lives rally, representing girls' stories who don't make the front of every national newspaper?
Would it all be worth it in the end?
Now, don't get me wrong. I wanted to run from the angry faces in the crowd. Run from danger. Run from the fear like Elizabeth Eppleford did on September 4th, 1957, her first day at segregated Little Rock Central High School.
Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would tell our parents.
Don't worry about your children. They are going to be all right. Don't hold them back because they want to go to jail. For they are doing a job for America and all mankind.
The jails were so overcrowded, we were crowded into cells too small for half the kids. They had set up a jail at the local fairground. We slept on cots and sang freedom songs. Our parents couldn't be there with us, but we sang, wrapped in our proud and loving arms of our ancestors.
Sing the songs of freedom, 1,000 strong we came. Walking and talking with my mind. Stand on freedom. Walking and talking with my mind. Stand on freedom. Hallelujah.
Hate dogged my heels all that day. Its yellow canine teeth sharp. Courage walked by my side and kept me going, but their people didn't want us to march. People like Birmingham Public Safety Commissioner Bull Connor, known as Eugene Connor.
As I've said on numerous occasions, we are not going to stand for this and Birmingham. And if necessary, for the fit of the jail cesspool. We don't care whose toes we step on. I'm saying now, these meddlers from out of our city. The best thing for you to do is stay out if you don't want to get slapped in jail. We'll use the dogs on the children. All you gotta do is tell them we're going to bring the dogs. Look at them on. Honestly, the dogs whoop.
I was sprayed with water, stronger than anything I have ever felt.
Rough hands pushed me forward, and I fell to my knees in the police wagon. I was going to jail.
But we kept on marching.
We couldn't stop until things had started to change.
Hundreds of us went to jail in the first, even more in the second.
We were arrested like 16-year-old Jesse Shepard, who was soaked when the firefighters turned their hoses on her and her friends and loaded them up on the paddy wagon. You may ask why we were marching. Because I couldn't understand why there had to be a colored fountain and a white fountain.
So that's why we marched. The path may be long and troubled, but I'm gonna walk on. Turn the other cheek. We had been taught, show love where there was hate. The world watched as hate bruised us. But for 7 days, we walked only in love.
The jail swelled to bursting, and even President John F. Kennedy took notice. Daddy said he got letters and calls about these pictures from all over the world.
Good morning. I address you today as the President of the United States. This picture makes me sick. The black situation in Birmingham is intolerable. What law can you pass to do anything about local police power? We have done not enough on civil rights, but we have shoved and pushed, and there is nothing this country should more time to. We can't keep telling people to wait for freedom, equality. Waiting, they really means never. I'm not saying that anybody ought to be patient. The heart of the question is whether all Americans are to be afforded equal rights or equal opportunities. Whether we are going to treat our fellow Americans as we wanted to be treated.
Our march would become a memory, a small start of the larger story. But we hadn't heard, and the seeds of revolution were sown.
Now the time has come for this nation to fulfill its promise.
We were making a difference. Our march had made them see. With nothing more than our feet, voices, and courage, we had done what adults could not.
Change was right around the corner. It felt like a cool breeze in the Alabama August.
Our feet made a difference. Thousands of children, some of them as young as 7 and 8 years old, have kept the momentum of the struggle going in its most pivotal hour.
We led the way. I don't think you heard me. We, the children, led the way.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, walking in the freedom land. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, turn me
Kudos to you guys for such a wonderful job. It's also going to be tough for me. I can't match that performance. Yeah. Just like Miss Hunt, I also chose Let America Be America Again, but I promise I will not read it again. Yeah, but thankfully we have the mighty smartphones. I chose a different poet from the same author, Langston Hughes, who was an American poet, social activist, a novelist, playwright, columnist, and from Joplin, Missouri. And the poet that I chose to read is Democracy Will Not Come. And the poet read, democracy will not come today, this year, nor ever, through compromise and fear. I have as much right as the other fellow as to stand on my 2 feet and own the land. I tire so of hearing people say, let things take their course. Tomorrow is another day, and I do not need my freedom when I'm dead. I cannot live on tomorrow's bread. Freedom is a strong seed planted in a great need. I live here too. I want freedom just as you. This is a short poet. I chose this because the meaning behind democracy and freedom. America, of course, is a first world, and it is a civilized nation. But without maintaining the idea and protecting the freedom for all, it will not be as civilized. We all know that America is also a first world status, and first world is simply means so much has been done. And without protecting the right of everybody, that progress will diminish and will roll back to second or third world. So I think it is very important to maintain that status, and to maintain that status is through protecting everybody's right and freedom, and to protect all the freedom, First Amendment, freedom to protest, and to live freely. Thank you very much.
I realize that your program says Cedric Cooper. I am not Cedric Cooper. He is the associate principal at Sco Middle School, and he is not able to make it today because some things are happening at his school that he needs to take care of. So I am going to read just a brief bit about something that I truly believe in, and I think right now is very important in the times of political times that we're in. It's an article that I found on the internet about maybe a week or so ago. It was just written here last month, though. During a time when black women's votes are more pivotal than ever, our leaderships and contributions to the suffrage movement must be honored. This is written by Michelle Duster. Countless women fought for over 70 years for the women's right to vote, and August 18, 2020 will be the centennial of the 19th Amendment. Over the past few years, there has been an increased focus on how to commemorate this 100th year anniversary. During the late 19th and early 20th century, a wide variety of women fought for the same rights. However, there was contention between some white women and black women. In many situations, black women had to fight in order to be included in the movement. These prominent women included Sojourner Truth, Mary Church Terrell, Anna Julia Cooper, and Ida B. Wells, just to name a few. Wells worked with white suffragists in Illinois and also founded the Alpha Suffrage Club, which was the first suffrage group for African American women. She and some white activists from Illinois went to Washington, D.C. to participate in the 1913 suffrage parade. Once there, Wells and all other black women were asked to march in the back of the parade. The reason given for this request was to make white Southern women feel more comfortable. It was extremely clear that the theory of sisterhood espoused by these white women did not align with black women's lived experiences. Of course, some black women did not comply with the dehumanizing request, but that those white women had the audacity and comfort level to even ask exemplified how black women were often disregarded in a whites-only suffrage movement. Even though women legally got the right to vote in 1920, most black women in the South were not able to exercise that right for decades because many barriers prohibited them from doing it. It took another 45 years before black women could vote as a result of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. In addition, several decades after the passage of the 19th Amendment, there was contention and struggle within academia about how to document the suffrage movement. There was an effort to whitewash the history or erase the black women who were involved. Many black scholars fought for black women to be included in texts and curriculum. In fact, the late Dr. Rosalind Terborg Ten researched and wrote the seminal book, African American Women in the Struggle for the Vote, 1850 through 1920. I have a copy of this if anyone needs to or would like to enjoy reading it again. I'm going to have the next person come up as we are running out of time.
Hello, my name is Bill Bryant. I'm a student advocate with the youth development team working with the African American community. Today I'm going to read an excerpt from a book called The Boy Who Carried Bricks, which I checked out from our media center right here in the building. It was written by Alton Carter, and he was the second eldest of 5 children. He was born in 1970 in Stillwater, Oklahoma. He was abandoned by his father, neglected by his mother. He was shuttled between foster homes and boys' ranches and his grandparents' and uncles' houses for most of his formative years. This young man refused to succumb to the fate that the world said should be his. Early on, Alton decides he wants a normal life, even if that means standing up to abusive relatives and being teased by his siblings and cousins. Along the way, he keeps an eye out for those who might help lighten the load, never losing hope that such people exist. And this is when Alton was staying at his grandmother's house when he was about 10 years old. Uncle Stevie's moods changed as quickly and as frequently as the Oklahoma weather. No one ever knew what mood Uncle Stevie would be in when he came home at night. Some evenings, he made us wrestle for his entertainment. Other nights, he commandeered the TV. On this particular night, however, our grandparents' living room had become a fight club. I was paired with my little brother, DeJohn, and he was getting the best of me. I was bigger and stronger than DeJohn, but he was tougher and meaner. At one point in our match, DeJohn had me in a headlock and pinned to the ground. I tried everything to get loose, but was unable to get free. Standing over us like a coach, Uncle Stevie shouted instructions to DeJohn on how to hurt me even more, both mentally and physically. Come on, DeJohn, you're tougher than he is. You're dominating him. Finish the sissy off. Already embarrassed about getting pinned by my little brother, I did the one thing that could make my situation even worse. I started crying. Uncle Stevie went ballistic. You better stop crying, Alton. Be a man, he yelled. But the more he yelled at me, the more I cried. Finally, Uncle Stevie had had enough. If you don't stop crying, Alton, I'm going to get the broom and give you something to cry about. You got to stop being such a crybaby and learn to fight, like a man, or everyone at school is going to beat you up. As Uncle Stevie leaned over me with his finger in my face yelling, I did not dare move, too afraid of what he might do next. Go get the broom from the kitchen, DeJohn. DeJohn hustled out of the room, and my uncle turned back to me. I'm going to give you one last chance, he said. If you don't stop crying like a little girl by the time DeJohn comes back with that broom, I'm going to beat you with it. He let me ponder his threat. Sure enough, DeJohn returned with the broom, and I was still crying. Uncle Stevie snatched the broom out of DeJohn's hand, raised it over his head, and bellowed, I told you to stop crying, Alton. I took one look at him and without thinking took off running towards the stairs that led downstairs to my grandparents' bedroom. I had gone only a few feet when I felt the broom strike the top of my head. Crack! I fell to the floor with Uncle Stevie looming over me. Half of broom handle still in his hand. The other half was on the floor beside me. I must have made some noise when I hit the floor because my grandpa started yelling. What's going on up there? Grandpa shouted. Dizzy, unable to stand, I couldn't answer my grandpa for fear of what my uncle might do next. I said, what's going on? Grandpa hollered again. This time I could tell he was at the bottom of the staircase. No one said a word. I didn't dare. DeJohn and the others were not about to cross Uncle Stevie. And goodness knows, Uncle Stevie was not about to rat out himself. Eventually, when no one would answer, Grandpa gave up and returned to his room. I managed to crawl to the nearest couch, while Uncle Stevie explained to my siblings and cousins how much of a baby I was. Maybe he was right, but it was not something that I was willing to change. I found it easier to run when fights started than to stand and fight like other boys. Hurting others to prove how tough I was never appealed to me. Alton Carter is a former foster child and former police officer in Stillwater, Oklahoma. He's now the director of youth ministries for the First United Methodist Church of Stillwater. He makes his home in Oklahoma with his wife, Kristen, and their sons, Kelton and Colin. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Brenda Ely. I'm the branch manager for Gear and South Libraries in Lincoln. And I'm filling in for Pat Leach today. She's our director of Lincoln City Libraries. And she asked me to convey her regrets in not being able to attend. We both agree that the African American Read-Ins are one of our favorite annual events. And we're pleased to be a part of it with Lincoln Public Schools and recognizing the rich African American history. And I'd like to take a moment to recognize an African American woman from Hastings, Nebraska. Her name is Helen May Mullen. I didn't know her personally, but I read her story in a December obituary, and I felt she was deserving to be recognized and remembered, and this might be a good place for that. Let me share. Helen May Mullen was born on January 2nd, 1927. She and her twin brother Hunter were the oldest of 13 children born to Hunter and Ellen May Ellis Mullen. She was also the first granddaughter of Roxy Anna Nevins Ellis Buckner. Helen was raised in Hastings and graduated from Hastings High School in 1946. Chasing her lifelong passion for books, she attended Hastings College, received a bachelor's degree in English in 1951. Her love of learning and spirit of excellence propelled her to further her education by obtaining a master's degree from Syracuse University School of Information Studies. Her goal was to be a children's librarian in a public library. And following graduation, she was recruited and hired by the Free Library of Philadelphia. Beginning her career as a children's librarian, she progressed to coordinator of the Office of Work with Children. She was the first and only Black woman to head a department at the Free Library. In her 44 years there, Helen was instrumental in making the Free Library of Philadelphia one of the flagship libraries in the country. She was a visionary. She identified needs in the community and tried to respond to them. She instituted a story time in the Frankfurt Branch Library in 1955, and it was a community that was pretty much forgotten in Philadelphia, and she did that to address literacy needs. She also collaborated with the Philadelphia Zoo and did story times about animals and in story hours in 49 branches across the city of Philadelphia. She trained several thousand Girl Scouts over 10 years to be storytellers and participate in that program too. She created book sleepovers, book concerts for children, creative events involving the Juilliard String Quartet, Philadelphia Civic Ballet, Philadelphia Orchestra, and the Museum of Arts. For 14 years, she shared books with the Youth Studies Center, a youth secure detention facility in Philadelphia. She was also a consultant to the World Book Encyclopedia. The list goes on and on. She served on many councils, on committees, on boards. She taught at Temple University, the University of Pennsylvania, Chestnut Hill College, the Community College of Philadelphia, and became a national authority on children and reading. Family was most important to Helen. She was sis to her 12 brothers and sisters, and Aunt Helen to her many nieces and nephews and their friends as well. She shared her love of books with age-specific gifts and was always willing to listen and offer a word of advice. While living and working in Philadelphia for over 40 years, she returned to Hastings each summer and at Christmas to connect with her parents and family. After moving back to Hastings following her retirement, her greatest joy was seeing her home filled with family reunions and July 4th cookouts, followed by fireworks in the yard. Her love was unconditional and her door was always open. It went on to list her surviving family, many, some in Chicago, some in Omaha, Hastings, and one listed for Lincoln was Ada Robinson, and I believe Ada was a school teacher for Lincoln Public Schools. Helen May, this is the end of her obituary, was a gift from God to children, her community, and her family. She made a difference, and she will truly be missed. I want to thank you for letting me share Helen's story. I thank you to the readers and to the scholars from Belmont who are here today. You make a difference by sharing those stories. We're so delighted to be a part of it. If you have time and can join us on February 20th, we'll be doing a second read-in at the Isley Branch from noon to 1, and we hope to see you at the library. Thanks so much for coming today.
Again, thank everybody for coming out, and especially great thanks for the readers who read today. What we like to do right now is a giveaway, free giveaway. Everybody, we like free stuff. If you look up under your chairs, if you see a sticky note, you are a winner. If you got a chair next to you where nobody's at, feel free to reach up underneath there
And when you find it, I do have the books available. So if you have a sticky note, you can bring it up and I will make sure that you get it.
And if we could get all the readers who participated in the read-in today, we can get you guys up front for a group picture. And thank everybody for coming out.